In a game as single-player oriented as Empire at War, having a good AI which supports the intended gameplay loops of the mod is crucial. Today we're going to talk about what the AI currently does, how we plan to develop it further, and an extra option we're adding in 2.3. As always, if you prefer a text version of this news post with the exact same information, it can be found in the description. While everyone would say they want a better AI, and we've talked in the past about certain improvements, we want to take this opportunity to talk about exactly what we mean by better. With 2.2, we began to overhaul the AI in about every possible way. Step 1 in that was to remove as many avenues for cheating as we reasonably can. On Easy or Recruit in 2.2, the AI makes fewer credits and builds more slowly than the player. On Medium, they build about the same speed with the same amount of resources. And on Hard, we've tried to keep the modifiers as low as we can to make them remain active as their territory is removed for more experienced players, so about 1.5 times credits. While some basic tactical AI improvements were made with 2.2, the primary one, which most people may have noticed, being that we've made ships come out from sitting under their stations where you could just pick them off easily, which is a pretty abusable feature in the base game and in a lot of mods. A lot of the focus in 2.2 was more on the galactic level, determining the basic rules and desires for building up their structures, their economy, and their budgeting for larger projects like massive super star destroyers. This also came with unique AI types for various factions. The Empire of the Hand has a more isolationist AI, preferring to build up before and attacking in Era 5. The Pentastar alignment similarly remains somewhat isolationist until Era 3, and then the Warlords have their own generic AI as a group, with Aridu getting its own more reckless AI in 2.3, leaving just Zinj and Maldrud using the generic Warlord one. And this will continue to happen with other factions as they're added where it makes sense. Evil Bob the Bob, who in addition to developing our AI for Thrawn's Revenge, is the lead developer of Phoenix Rising, another mod with a lot of unique features and the same AI components we're talking about here. You can find PR in the Steam Workshop with the link in the description. He has continued with more of these optimizations for the galactic level of the AI within 2.3. The longer-term economic changes in the mod that we're working on between 2.3 and 2.4 are also being developed with the AI in mind. In 2.2, the AI would typically want to build hypervelocity guns and ion cannons in as many border planets as possible. This worked out pretty well in most maps, but in some of the maps where they started out with smaller territory or they were more thinly spread, for example, in From the Ground Up, or even some of the New Republic starting points in some of the larger maps where they kind of have a line outside the edge of the galaxy, they would end up using those slots for the defensive weapons rather than building up as much economic and production power as they might need. So this has been adjusted appropriately and is something we're going to be keeping an eye on, just in case we need to adjust it more in the future. Another issue is that with how mining facilities are structured in 2.2, on the smaller maps the AI often has to spend more slots on economic structures at the cost of defenses. So to reduce that burden, we've shifted more of the economic power into space, bumping up the values of trade ports and reducing the per planet cap on mining facilities from 3 down to 2. There are a lot more in-depth changes coming to the economy and even galactic government mechanics in 2.4, so we'll talk about that a little bit more when we get to a future news post during 2.4's development period. Tactically, we plan to continue to make as many adjustments to improve AI behavior as we can, along with doing things to diversify fleet and army compositions. Part of this work involves steps that are part of an overall ground and space combat updates. Thrawn's Revenge is a very old mod, with a lot of work from over a decade ago, which means there's some older bits of the mod which carry over older mistakes. Between 2.2 and 2.3, we've been trying to go through and standardize, expand, and update things like the AI combat power values, which are essentially numbers that tell the AI roughly how strong a unit is, and it then compares that against the credit cost to decide what to build in certain situations, and also the category masks, which tell the AI what role a unit will fill. We're trying to go through and make sure that those are all appropriate for each unit. There's a new carrier category, for example, which for smaller carriers will tell the AI that that kind of unit needs to stay in the back. They're for deploying fighters, not for engaging directly. This kind of work will be ongoing, but we'll try to be as explicit with AI changes that we're making as possible, since that's a lot better for people to understand than just saying, we've made the AI have 20% more betterness or something. That brings us to our second major part of the update, being additional options for players. If given the choice, most people would say they want an AI which acts exactly like a human. But while we agree with that for tactical behaviors and other kinds of 4X games, Empire at War, as anyone who plays multiplayer GC will likely have experienced, is not set up in a great way for a purely human and fair AI. Our goal with not just AI, but economic systems and even other parts of the game like events, for example they use on Vong and other emergent factions, is to make sure the game goes as long as possible while still having some form of challenging component, which is why some form of cheating AI is necessary. In games like Europa Universalis and Stellaris, you have things like aggressive expansion and overextension and truces, which allow a faction to rebuild between wars and then still have reasonable footing to start off the next war. But in Empire at War, it's all war all the time, and winning one key engagement can mean you are able to take half the galaxy, even if it's a bit of a slog, against almost no enemy forces, before they can even complete a new capital ship. While there are some background mechanics that may be somewhat similar to those from EU that I mentioned that we want to add long-term, the AI will always factor into that equation. It is, after all, a tool in a game mechanic as much as an opponent. To that end, we have introduced a new optional set of difficulty levels beyond easy, medium, and hard. If people prefer to stay on the more even footing of the 2.2 AI plus whatever additional logic-based improvements we make, that will be the default you start with. However, once you get in game, there's an extra option available to enable the cruel AI. This has its own set of modifiers on top of easy, medium, and hard, which essentially means 3 new levels of difficulty. These enable higher levels of AI income and production more similar to the bonuses that you may be familiar with from mods like Awakening Rebellion or Republic at War, which will allow them to more easily rebuild and continue to push back for longer. While we're increasing their production capabilities with this, we won't be giving them free spawns of units outside of areas where it's supported narratively, however. In the future, it's entirely possible we'll be able to offer additional in-game options for similar things based on similar principles as well. I use a similar set of bonuses in my preview Let's Plays, and another YouTuber, Eckhart Slatter, who's been given a preview copy of 2.3 to look at, has been struggling against it in his recent streams as well, if you'd like to check those out by checking the link in the description. That's going to do it for our look at the AI for now, though. Starting in a couple weeks, I'll be starting my Fall of the Republic, our Clone Wars mod preview playthroughs on this channel, and in addition to that, there should be a couple more regular news posts coming out in the next few weeks, including an overview of 2.3 and its testing process, the CSA's version of We Could Be Heroes, and the next Vision of the Future post looking at a new faction. So thanks for watching, and hope to see you next time. Bye.